are now appearing a little bit too desperate to align themselves with the UDA. Wouldn't the focus for the Central Management Committee of ODM be holding the party together first before making such a decision?
I agree. I wholly agree. Number one, why go to Kilifi? Why don't you come closer? I mean, like, why even expend that money? And yet you are deriving your kitty from the political party's fund. I mean, that's a misuse of public resources. I mean, unless ODM is telling us that they spent their own money from their own pocket to do that, which I doubt. And then why not have an NDC? Have the NDC resolve that we would like to have a coalition agreement. But, you know, well, if they say that the Central Committee of ODM is entitled to make such a decision, therefore it made that decision, I don't think it is a democratic decision to the extent that the larger, membership of ODM has been cut off from this. And I take exception to this idea of Honorable Sifuna. I'm not his spokesperson. Honorable Authority, I'm not his spokesperson, failing to attend that meeting and therefore casting aspersions and standing and trying to attribute all manner of negativity to their absence. I think that is wrong. Because missing a flight, I have missed flights before, not of my own making, but because of some total inadvertence, or sometimes you find that the flight is overbooked. And somehow the queue was longer than you expected. I mean, like, you can miss a flight, especially with the traffic jam that we have today. So I think it is wrong. But the Central Committee, in my humble view, is just overblowing this UDA marriage, that sham marriage, I should add, with ODM. I mean, ODM and UDA is a sham marriage. But let's go back a little bit and see even much more telling of the power games that Ruto is playing. And he is by the sidelines of ODM, waiting for the fallout, because he realized that if, for instance, Honorable Sifuna and Honorable Authority, if they do decide with a faction of ODM to break away and say that, look, we're not going along with that, we will not go along with that, we cannot even afford to be seen to be siding with UDA, given the failed economic, pattern in progress of UDA, and therefore we would like to have and map our own trajectory. And therefore, that would create a fallout. What Honorable Gakuya is saying, the breakup into two. Mine is a little bit much more, should I say, speculative of beyond the two factions that would be there, which is why there is this basket that is being created by Ruto using Honorable Owalo. With all due respect to him, he first of all announces that he's going to have a presidential ambition 2027 next year. He doesn't have a political party to begin with. And what we're being told is that, oh, by next week he will have gotten one of these briefcase, political parties for him to advance his political ambition as the president. But in the real sense, and if you ask me, the fallout with between ODM and UDA is likely then to have this ripple effect where some people may see that they have no political future in either of these factions. Yes. And therefore, they probably cannot join DCP, they probably cannot join Wiper, or probably cannot, they are not from the coast, and therefore not like Honorable Jumwa, for instance. And therefore, it's something for a basket, a fallback, plan for them to have these political parties. So I see these as a machination by Ruto himself. Even you can see this headline. I mean, it's very telling. Yes. And so when you see this desperation of the ODM saying that we have to be in the next government, what do they mean you have to be in the next government with a coalition agreement? What are they telling us? They are telling us they'll go to bed with UDA. They will remain in bed with the UDA. Whatever you people decide, whatever you people want, we want to remain.
Is that a position of strength from your perspective?
In my view, it's a position of weakness, because the average person is suffering. I mean, across the board, financially, socially, you name it. So they cannot have a prolongation of this suffering using these same political edifices that are in UDA and ODM as quote-unquote government. And let's ask ourselves, the Kenyan people, what does democracy mean in terms of our current scenario? You look at the defections which Honorable Gakuya was mentioning earlier on in the show, and you were asking him, it seems that some people have left off, being with Wamunyoro. But I mean, when you stand back and look at the purity of democracy envisioned in the Constitution and what we have in reality, in practice in this country, you say, wait a minute, this is not even a mongrel democracy we have. Okay. We have a very shared democracy. And I'm trying to tie that with the UDA, ODM, quote-unquote marriage, sham marriage, I should repeat that. And, in fact, the delivery of what democracy is supposed to be achieving. And you have someone in UDA called President Ruto, who is actually in the architecture of technocracy. And you have these government-owned enterprises which he erected for technocracy, absent and away and outside of democracy. And Kenyans need to understand that this person is a puppet of they who are the colonizers. And therefore, he is going to actually deface what you have and as democracy. Now, coming to ODM, it is part and parcel of that scheme which he is engendering.
Okay. But could it be, and now I'm focusing on what we are seeing on the front page of the Standard, Bwana Gakuya, that the weaknesses in ODM, which is probably the biggest party we've seen since the advent of the new constitution, even for the last 20 years or so, that the weaknesses are now showing, and people like vultures are now just following closely, waiting for the fall, and now we're seeing people. Because the announcement by Bwana Owalo about him running for president was curiously made in Siaya, which is a political bedrock of ODM party. That says something. He did not do it in Nairobi. That ODM's weakness is showing, and people are ready to take advantage of that.